Hello! I've got a book haul to share with you today. I went on a book-spedition. I live in a really small town in the state of Wyoming, and today I got to travel to Utah where there's a little bit bigger cities and there are actual bookstores. And so I was making videos as I went along on my book-spedition, but for some reason my really stupid iPod deleted all of the videos or didn't record them or something. I don't know what's wrong with me. This has never happened before on my iPod. Maybe it's just old and dying and I need a new one. But anyway, that's okay. We'll just sit down here in my lovely office and I'll go over the books that I got today. I'm going to start with a couple that I actually picked up at Walmart, which is not that special because it's Walmart. I mean, Walmart, I love you, but it's Walmart. It's not like a bookstore. But I still grabbed a couple of these and they just seemed like cute ones and fun ones to share. So, first one is called Strange History. Mysterious Artifacts, Macabre Legends, Boneheaded Blunders, and Mind-Blowing Facts. And I got this because I love history, and I love reading weird and funky little facts and tidbits of knowledge as well. So I thought this would be a fun one to read and also a good one to stick in my classroom if any kids are interested in reading it. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to read a couple of the little tidbits that are on the back of the book. It says, did you know Julius Caesar was afraid of cats? Really, Julius Caesar? What the heck? Mozart was infatuated with farts. What? Neanderthals invented the mullet. Now I know who to blame for all the bad hair in what was it, the 90s? Early 90s, late 80s. Sad. Columbus saw a UFO from the deck of the Santa Maria. Interesting. Okay. So the other book that I picked up at Walmart is a little teen book called The Geek's Guide to Unrequited Love. This one, I got reading the back of it, and it just sounded so stinking cute that I had to get it. This is about two kids, Graham and Roxy, and when they're about 8, Graham moves into Roxy's neighborhood, and she immediately asks him, what Hogwarts house have you been sorted into? And he's like, oh my gosh, this is the girl for me. And he immediately falls in love with her. She's just like, yeah, let's be friends. I mean, they're 8. Come on. But he just has loved her for all these years. And so now fast forward to 8 years to when they're 16. He still loves her, but he has never been able to tell her. They're best friends and they're still neighbors. But he's like, crap, I don't know how I'm going to tell her this. And their love for Harry Potter has kind of graduated into a love for comic books. And the creator of their very favorite comic book that they read together is going to be at New York Comic Con. And so he's thinking, I've got it figured out. I'm going to get us tickets to Comic Con, and we're going to have these 3 days to spend together, and I'll be able to tell her how I feel. But Graham learns that fictional relationships are a lot less complicated than real life ones. So we'll see what happens with Graham and Roxy. All right. I went to a little independent bookstore in Ogden, Utah called Booked on 25th, and I'm going to show you their cute bag here. And this is not a very big bookstore. They have quite a good selection of used books as well as some local authors and different things. But it is just a small little boutique store, but it's super cute and fun to go visit. So I only got one book there and then a couple little knickknacks. The book that I got is Camille. See if I can hold the spine up to you there. Camille by Alexandre Dumas. And this is one that is a classic literature book, obviously famous author. And just to give you a little bit about the story, there's a little card that came with the book, and it does a pretty good job of telling you some tidbits about the story. So I'm going to read a bit from this to you. It says, the character of Camille was derived from a real person, a Paris courtesan named Madeleine du Plessis. I don't know if I'm saying that name right because I didn't study French at all in high school. I apologize. The known facts about this intriguing lady are fragmentary, but it's quite certain that she was a courtesan who did not live beyond her early 20s. Although she was beautiful, her face was said to be marred by the ennui of an empty life and haunted by the premonition of an early death. Dumas was totally fascinated by this girl's personality. Making her central to his novel, he fashioned a series of legends around her. She was supposed to have been seen at every theatrical first night and every fashionable Paris ball. She was said always to carry a bouquet of camellias. She was believed to have sacrificed her happiness, indeed her very life, to save the reputation of the one man she truly loved. Dumas' picture of Camille was certainly idealized. Nevertheless, he has told this woman's story so tenderly and poignantly that no reader can fail to be moved and convinced by his art. This is a story that he later developed into a play, and there's an opera, La Traviata, and different things surrounding this particular character, which is kind of fascinating to me when you have one person that's so compelling that all these different stories are being told about them. That's really interesting. Alright, now to show you the other couple things I got at Booked on 25th, let me grab my little bag. These are 2 Jane Austen related items. And if you've seen any of my other videos where I've talked about Austen, you know I love Her to Pieces. My favorite book in the world is by Jane Austen, and yeah, there we go. Alright, so the first thing is Jane Austen bath soap. Suds and Sensibility. How could you not buy something like that? I mean, seriously. And it smells really good too. And it says on the side, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that anyone in possession of good hygiene must be in want of a soap." That's cute. Alright, the other Austen item I got was actually a mug, and it comes in this cute box. And then you take the mug out, and it's got her portrait, and there's a whole bunch of quotes all around the mug. Cool. So that'll be kind of fun to add. This will either sit on my Jane Austen shelf, or maybe I'll actually use it to drink out of. We'll see. So there we go. My other stop on my Book-spedition today was Barnes & Noble in Layton, Utah. And you might be thinking, oh, Barnes & Noble, it's a chain store for books. Everybody's been to a Barnes & Noble. But keep in mind, I live in a very small town where we have no bookstores, so a trip to Barnes & Noble is really exciting for me. And I walked in and I saw the YA section, and I was like, oh, I wish I had $1 million to spend on books right now. They have all these beautiful books, and there's just so many of them sitting there. It's like book nerdvana. I don't know. Alright, so first quick little trinket item I got was a bookmark. Who bien? I have a magnetic bookmark, which I really like using, but it's about on its last legs. The 2 magnet pieces are being barely held together, and I have a feeling I need to retire it soon. So I need a new bookmark, and I saw this one. You know, they put those fun things right by the checkout, so you just grab them as you're paying for your other stuff. Yeah. So I got a Doctor Who bookmark. Okay, middle grade books. I got 2. The first one is called The List, and this is set in a city called Ark, where it is the last safe place on Earth, and everyone must speak a language called List, and it is a language of only 500 words. Except for 2 people. We have the wordsmith and the wordsmith's apprentice, which happens to be Letta. Letta is our main character. She can speak all the words that ever existed, even the forbidden ones, such as freedom, music, pineapple. Why is pineapple a forbidden word? I'm intrigued to find out. Letta's master disappears, though, and so she becomes the wordsmith, and the leaders in Ark say, okay, you've got to start reducing List by more and more words, and now you've got to reduce it some more and some more, and Letta's afraid that her language is altogether going to disappear, and what will they do without words? That's just crazy. She meets a teenage boy who knows all the words, even the banned ones. Somehow he knows these words. How does he know them? I don't know. So she has to decide whether she's going to follow what the leaders say and keep reducing List, or if she's going to kind of join forces with this other boy and see if they can't rebel in some way to try to save the language. Sounds really interesting and fun, and cute cover as well. I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but we all do, really. Come on. Okay. Next book. This is the other middle grade novel that I picked up, and this is called Cyclone. And you can see on the cover there's a roller coaster ride, and I have to read a bit from the dust jacket, and I'm going to read a little bit from the first page as well to you just because it's just fun. The dust jacket says, "What do you do after you've blackmailed your cousin, the best cousin in the world, into doing something she really, really doesn't want to do, so that she does it anyway, and then something terrible, not gum in your hair terrible, but ends up in the hospital terrible happens, and you know that it's all your fault? And now your cousin can't even speak, which is even more terrible. But if she can't talk, then she can't tell anyone that the terrible thing that you have done, which makes you a little happy, but even a more terrible person than you were before. Meet Nora, blackmailer, worst cousin on Coney Island. All right, so there's something going on with this roller coaster ride and these two cousins. And the little bit that I'm gonna read to you, it just caught my eye because I flipped to the first page when I was standing in there in the bookstore and just kind of skimmed over it, and I thought, okay, this is a book that's going to catch a middle schooler's attention, so I'm definitely going to grab it for my my classroom library, but it's just kind of cute. So here we go, a couple of paragraphs from the beginning of the book. The last word I understood completely from my cousin Riley's mouth was the F-bomb. Riley dropped the F-bomb 37 times while we rode the Cyclone roller coaster at Coney Island, Brooklyn. The Cyclone is very, very old. It's made out of wood. It sways. That's right, sways, as in back and forth. Just in case plummeting down a 6-story drop at high speed wasn't enough for you, I'm making it sound like this didn't worry me. Oh, it did. Just not enough to keep me off it. I had waited a long time to be tall enough, 54 inches, to get on that roller coaster, so I was determined, despite being a little afraid, to take my finally 4.5-foot, 12-year-old self on the oldest wooden roller coaster in the world. The truth is, I was more than a little afraid of going on the Cyclone. As much as I desperately wanted to ride it, it's famous after all, I very desperately did not want to ride it alone. So this sounds like a fun story, interesting. We'll see what happens with the cousin and why this cousin can't speak, and see what happens later. If you're wondering, you heard me say that the cousin said the F word. That literally says F-word in the book. It doesn't like write out the words, so I think we're okay. All right, I bought 5 more books. Yeah, I've been saving up money in my book budget. Can you tell? Anyway, these 5 are all from like the teen section, so more YA. And here we go. The first one, I'm really excited to read. It says, "One of Us is Lying." That's the title. Karen McManus. I almost said Lauren. I'm sorry. I'm going to read a little bit from the dust jacket on this one too, and you'll understand why in a second. Okay. Now, I hope that you guys are old enough to understand this reference. Okay. Pay close attention and you might solve this. On Monday afternoon, 5 students at Bayview High walk into detention. And it lists each one, and we have the brain, the beauty, the criminal, the athlete, and the outcast. Does this sound familiar to anyone? I'm thinking John Hughes movie. Don't ask me to sing the song because I'm just not in the mood. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google The Breakfast Club right now. Okay. Simon is the outcast, and he never makes it out of that classroom. Before the end of detention, Simon is dead. According to investigators, his death wasn't an accident. On Monday, he died, but on Tuesday, he'd planned to post juicy reveals about all 4 of his high-profile classmates, which makes all 4 of them suspects in his murder. Or are they just the perfect pasties? Or are they just the perfect patsies for a killer who's still on the loose? Everyone has secrets, right? What really matters is how far you would go to protect them. Interesting. So, The Breakfast Club meets 10 Little Indians. And Then There Were None. That's the name of that book. So, The Breakfast Club meets And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Interesting group of people, all possible suspects, except for in this one only one person dies and not the whole cast. All right. Side note, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie is a fantastic murder mystery if you need something along those lines to read. Okay, next book. This is Chris Colfer's Land of Stories, Worlds Collide. This is number 6. It's going to be the last book in the series, which makes me kind of sad. It's a really fun fairy tale, very clean read. I'm surprised this was in the teen section instead of like the middle reader section. It probably was actually out there because it's new and they put the new release stuff by the teen section anyway. Because this is very easily a middle reader level as far as appropriateness goes. If you're not familiar with the series, this follows a brother and sister, Alex and Connor, who through a series of interesting events involving their grandmother, who is like Mother Goose, get involved in this land of stories. In book number 6, all of the Land of the Stories characters are no longer kept to their own realm. They're in New York. And we've got not just heroes like Cinderella and Snow White and all of these fun fairy tale characters that we're used to, but we also have the baddies, okay? We've got the villains, and they are planning all kinds of malicious plans in New York City, on top of which Alex has gone missing. Connor and his friends have to work together to try to find Alex and to restore order as far as the Land of the Stories characters go. This is going to be an interesting wrap-up to this series. I still need to read book number 4. Somehow I missed that one, and I've read 1, 2, 3, and 5, and as I was reading 5, I'm like, what? Where? I'm so lost. So I would definitely encourage you to read these in order and don't skip any. I'm going to track down book number 4 and read it before I get into this one so that I have that background knowledge. All right. Next book. This is another one that's adding onto a series. This is Loved by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. This goes along with the House of Night series, and this is kind of reuniting with the nerd herd after the events of the end of the series. And you can see the, I've got the series, nope, this way, right there, with my Jack the Pumpkin King guy. Okay, so I do love the series. They are not in my classroom because I don't feel like they're a good match for middle schoolers, but if you don't know this series, it's a vampire series, but with kind of a twist. It's set in Tulsa at a school called the House of Night, and Zoe Redbird is kind of the main character. In Loved, Zoe and her friends have been off adulting in the world for a year, and they're kind of gone their separate ways. But it's coming up on Zoe's 18th birthmas, and who was it? I wrote down in my notes. Stark calls them all back to Tulsa to surprise Zoe. And things happen, as they usually do. Evil forces are stirring, and they're wondering, oh my gosh, is she stirring up trouble somehow from where she is? And they want to cast an extra layer of protection on where she is. But there's also these bloodthirsty red vampires running around and circling, and so we've got that going on as well. Plus the fact that these friends, the nerd herd, have not been around each other for a year, and they've grown apart a little bit, and are they going to be able to circle and work together as well as they have in the past? All right. 2 more books. Okay, this one is one that's I've got to read before school starts again because my students will not leave this guy's books alone. They're never on the shelf. They'll get checked in, and then 2 minutes later somebody else will check them out. Kwame Alexander. Solo is the name of the book, and like his other books, this one's written in verse. I'm just going to flip it open, and you can see. So he does write in verse, and he writes with a very good contemporary voice for teenagers. His first book was Crossover, and that was kind of themed around basketball and these twin boys. The second one is Booked, and that's more themed around soccer, but not really about soccer. It was about this kid's family and all the things that were going on with him. Then we have Solo, and this is not a series. These are separate stories, but you could read them all together if you wanted to. In Solo, we have Blade. Blade is the son of kind of this burnout rocker that's been an addict and been in rehab and all this stuff, and they just kind of wait for him to do the next wrong thing. And so Blade is his son, and he is dating this girl named Chapel, and he's like, okay, Chapel is my one ray of light in this world. But Chapel's parents don't approve of their relationship because they think that Blade is just going to follow in his father's footsteps and be a burnt-out druggy rocker. Blade does really love music, but that's the only thing he has in common with his father. He doesn't want to go in that pathway of being, into the drugs and all of that stuff. And so he's worried about a couple of things. He might lose Chapel, and what's he going to do without her? And the other thing is that there's this family secret that could totally turn his world upside down if it was revealed. And so there's that situation going on. I don't know what the secret is. You have to read the book to find out what the secret is, and so I'll be getting to that soon. there's like one sentence from the dust jacket that I want to read to you. It says, "All that remains is a letter and a ticket to Ghana, both of which could bring Blade the freedom and love he's been searching for, or leave him feeling even more adrift." So, very intriguing. I'm excited to read this one. Last book in this book haul is Umberland. I have been waiting for this book for a while. I read Everland, which is the first book, and I would suggest reading this in order because there are some things that are going to happen in this book that are kind of built on what happens in the first one. So in Everland, there is this kind of virus, and we also have a situation where Gwen and Pete and the others are escaping kind of at the end of this book from a situation. So in the second one, they've escaped, and they thought they were going to find this safe haven place, but it turns out it's not really as safe as it once was. There's a problem with the queen, and so we have Duchess Alice kind of stepping in, and she kind of becomes the protagonist in this book. The cure that they thought they had developed for the virus has mutated into something even more deadly, and so they think that their only chance is to go back to the origin of the original virus, which was an extinct poison apple. This apple, like I say, is extinct, but they think that they might know where they could still find like the last remaining one on Earth, because somebody said, well, maybe it's not really extinct. I think there's one tree left, and it's in the middle of a maze, and the maze is hidden somewhere in Germany. Alice and her friend Maddox Hatter, good name, they are going to go try to find the maze and try to find their way through the maze, and hopefully this apple tree will be there so that they can get the poison apple and try to develop a cure for this virus. So who knows what could happen. Really fun adventure type series. The author, Wendy Spinell, I don't know if that's how you say your name for sure, but that's how I'm saying it today, does a pretty good job with the action and develops fun characters and uses different fairy tale characters and different ways to kind of interact and play off each other. You can tell from this one we've got some Peter Pan things going on, as well as Alice in Wonderland and Snow White. So we'll see what happens here. All right, so that's all the books I got on my book exploration, my book-spedition. And I hope you've enjoyed this book haul. If you have read any of these books already and would like to leave a comment without giving me any spoilers about whether you enjoyed them or not, I'd love to hear from any readers out there that just want to say hey. Happy reading. Have a great day. Adios.